welcome to our fifth edition of our Kona special with none other than Big Mac, Magnus Ditlev. Magnus, you actually this is your second interview within half an hour or so. You come straight from the rocks with Bob Babbitt. So did you manage to tell the Grandmaster all your insights there?
Yeah, I'm trying to, it's trying to get used to all the attention and all the hype at here on Kona. It's for sure something new and something I've like. The place is just so epic in all ways. So it's been really cool
Yeah.
to be here. I've been here for 1 week, a little more than a week now. So I'm starting to feel good again after the race in Dallas also.
Yeah, and let's talk about that for a little while because you really emptied the tank there big time to go for second place against one of your good friends, I could say, but also a close rival, Mr. Sam Long there. So just quickly take us through that experience. You looked like you were very close to exiting, what we call it, saying goodbye to this world, collapsing on the finish line. What happened there?
Yeah, so it was like the conditions were probably even worse than here in Kona with 35
Yeah,
degrees Celsius and quite high humidity also. So it was quite a lot worse, I would say, than training here. So we knew beforehand going into the event that it would be like a completely different race than even though I raced in Texas and Roth was also pretty hot, then this would be something in a completely new league of racing in the heat. So I was extremely conservative with my pacing throughout both the swim and bike and the first part of the run also. And then I could see pretty much Sam and I were running 20 seconds apart for the first 12 kilometers or something like that. And I felt like I felt I had one more gear, if you could say that, and was actually
yeah,
just. I got some of my supporters out on the course told me that Sam was looking pretty tired and cooked. So I was just running in my own pace, waiting for him to fade a little bit maybe, and then going out onto the last lap. I felt I still had something left and started to really push and managed to get him with maybe 500 or 600 meters to go. And then from my previous sprint finish in Texas this year, I didn't necessarily want to go down to the to the wire with him. So I was in a little bit of a dilemma because I didn't want to like expose myself completely by attacking with all I got. So I figured if I put in a search for maybe 95% of my capability, so I still have something left. If he is able to respond, then it would be a good move. And luckily, he didn't have anything left himself, so I just got away. Almost from the minute I searched on him, and then I could just run to the finish line. But as you say, it was one of the races where you're just cruising on being overheating and then just on the line between overheating and actually feeling fine. So you can't just go all out from the start.
yeah. Magnificent. And it's like this season you have been going from one great result to the other. We don't have to mention Roth again, but it's just like every time you enter a race, you manage to step up to a new level. And saying that, I'm thinking about all the past years in Kona where we had people like Andreas Raelert doing magnificent stuff and people say, okay, this is the guy to watch out for Kona this year. And I was thinking, wow, that must be you this year. You are the guy who have done standout things. So do you look at yourself as one of the really dark horses to take out people like Christian Blumenfeld and the likes of him? Is that the way
I
you
would
see
lie if
yourself right
I
now?
say I'm definitely racing for the win, and I'm going to
Yeah,
do some things out there that's maybe a little bit risky, but it's going to be necessary if I want to race for the win. So
Yeah.
there's a big difference between racing for, like, say, if I was supposed to ride a steady time trial the whole way, then I think going into the top 10 is one thing, but actually racing for the win, you have to do some things and make some searches that is, you can't really look on your watch and stay within your zone all the time. And that's also what I experienced in Roth. Sometimes you have to really say, okay, now is now or never. And if you want to win the race, you have to do this. And then there is a risk of blowing up completely, but then that's what, yeah. So I'm definitely going to race for the win, and then we'll see what happens.
Magnus, I know you are really a numbers guy and you trust in the science and the test you're doing, but is it hard for you to take these words in your mouth that you are actually saying out loud, hey, you'll have to consider me amongst the top favorites here in this iconic race?
Yeah, it's definitely it's something I've maybe like it takes some time to get used to, and also just
Yeah,
from reading and following on the social media and staying on in Kona here, it's crazy how much people now recognize me and believe in me, and
yeah,
every day I'm at the pool, a lot of people, they come and talk to me and say that I'm their favorite to win the whole thing, and it's
yeah.
quite crazy to think of when I've never really raced Kona before, and it's only my third full distance, so it's pretty surreal.
Couple of days ago, a friend of mine wrote on social media, asked who of the Danes is the better runner, and that was a really terrific question because I said, well, if you asked me like 5 or 6 months ago, based on your 70.3 race skills, maybe I wouldn't put you in front of people of like Daniel or even Högenhaug or some of the other guys there. But looking on the marathons you've done, I will have to put you as the very best runner. So have you surprised yourself that you have shown to be such an effective runner on the full distance?
So I think it was, of course, it came as a surprise that I was able to run 240 in both Texas and then back it up in Roth. It was not like we didn't. How can you say it? We had the seen in training that my running has been really great for a long time, and that I have the potential to do these things. And also that I have a potential on 70.3 running that maybe I haven't shown yet. But then, of course, going out and actually doing and delivering the stuff, doing a 240 run in the first Ironman is something completely different. Sometimes you can see a lot of people have some really great numbers in training, and I think that was also true for myself for a while, that I was actually pushing some maybe even better numbers in training that I'm doing in my training at the moment, but I wasn't able to
Yeah,
like convert it into a full swim, bike, and run combo. And then actually delivering it on race day when it really matters is something completely different. So I think it came as we knew I had the potential, and we had seen that in training for quite a long time, but actually doing it in the first attempt and in Roth also was something we were not really surprised, but really pleased to see, and maybe it was a bit faster. It came a bit faster than we had expected.
yeah, it's going to be super interesting to see because Kona, of course, is known to be a runner's race, or traditionally only a very few people have been able to solve things on the bike. And also people ask about the bike, but I guess by now people must realize that you don't, or for quite a while now, you haven't seen yourself as this Uber biker. You're seeing yourself as a guy, right, who's going to perform at your best levels on all three disciplines. But elaborating further on that question, tactically, what would be the smartest move for you to do? Have you and your coach thought about a possible strategy that would be very smart if you look back on what you did in Roth and in Texas, for instance?
Yeah, so it's of course I can't really tell all the
Okay,
the full race
all the
plan,
insights.
but,
No.
but it's clear that there is a scenario where, because Christian and Gustav, if I have a good swim, I'm maybe with Gustav. I expect to be around Gustav out of the water, and Christian might be there or elsewhere he's in the front group. So there's going to be a point where I will have to try to either overtake overtake Gustav without bringing him up to the front, ideally, or maybe just sit in the pack and let him do some work and then try to attack later on, maybe from the turnaround point or something like that, where the course gets quite tough. Actually, I was out there. I've been out at the turnaround 2 times now, and the bike course is actually much tougher than I expected. So I think there's potential to do some damage on the bike, especially if the wind blows. Yeah, so that's how I see it.
Yeah, it's going to be magnificent to watch you race that one. Of course, I know you are also quite picky with your equipment, and I know you and Casper are testing stuff out. People ask about the new wheel set from Het. Is that something you have been testing out? Something you maybe have tested out in the velodrome, but not in races before? Are we going to see Magnus on some new equipment for race day, or is that also a bit of a secret?
Yeah, you will see me on basically all the testing I've done. I think I've been on the velodrome more than 10 times this year, and also in the wind tunnel and done outdoor testing, which is quite different to the velodrome because you can get some more real world data. Velodrome is like you don't have the wind blowing, for instance. So, and on purpose, I have saved a lot of the equipment for Kona. So you will see me on some things I've never ridden before. Some of them is very difficult to see. Some of them you can't even see actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, it will be. I have a new handlebar coming and some new bottle options, and of course the wheel you're mentioning. And then I've worked closely with Fusion the whole year on developing a suit that is optimized to my position and the speeds I'm riding, and then a lot of
Interesting.
other stuff.
Yeah. One of the newer things that has turned out to be really popular and also shown to actually be able to save some actual watts is these socks, these aero socks. Is that something that you are using as well and plan to do? I think actually Frodeno, wasn't he one of the first one to really use
Yeah,
them?
yeah. So
So that's
it's I've been using. There is the rule that you are not allowed to use calf sleeves when it's a non-wetsuit. So that places like a problem, because then you have to either don't use them or put them on in T1, and that
yeah.
when you are all wet, and then they are extremely tight, so it can very quickly take up more time to just put them on than you actually gain. But I think you will see me with a new a solution to that problem in the race. I can't tell people how I've solved it because it's something, yeah. And I have to test it out a few times beforehand also to see if it actually works. But it's also like you have to think not. For instance, if you say that these calf sleeves they save me 2 minutes on an Ironman bike leg, but if it takes up 30 to 60 seconds just to put them on, and then you have the risk of losing the group. So there is also you have to take into account that there is some pack dynamics going on in this race. So it's not
Of course,
just
yeah.
if it was yeah, so you have to consider if you are going to, for instance, lose a big group of people, then it's maybe not the smartest decision to put on, because then you have to overtake 20 people to get past them
Yeah,
again, and then so it will be. I
exactly.
have a
And I
solution
think,
to put it on,
yeah.
and then I will have to make like in T1 or already in the swim, if I can get an overview of where I am at, then I will have to make a decision if I will try to put them on and or not.
Have you, when you mention yourself, this scenario that you have to be really alert of the pace going out of T2, because people, they are, they are driving like crazy the first hour. That's the way it used to be. But you have also shown in the past year and a half that you have worked on your patience, and we know for a fact that you are able to reel back even large number of athletes driving together. So will it be important for you to go with that last pack, or would you rather stay within your numbers and then just slowly take them back in one by one, or have you don't have any preferred way to do it? Have you thought about it?
I have some targets, power outputs that I'm not allowed to go outside of,
Yeah, of
even
course.
though it can happen
Yeah.
sometimes. For instance, in Roth, I was pretty much outside of that zone for the first 1 hour, so that was not
Wow.
what was planned. But you have to sometimes, as what I also said earlier, listen to your body and make some decisions that is not always, it's a risk, but it's something you have to take the risk if you want to ride for the win. But of course, I also know, or we have done testing showing that that I have some upper limits, and that is completely out of out of bounds. If I do that, then I just know it's a recipe for disaster. And
Exactly.
also, even though it's uh, like the pace, you have to be aware of that how much heat you are actually creating. So it's not because it's actually a very high intensity for me. It's more because I'm quite a big guy and I generate a lot of heat. And if I generate too much heat too early, then I will.
Yeah.
It's extremely. It's very difficult to come back from when once you have already overheated. And we
Yeah.
did some testing in with Team Denmark where I had like 30 minutes on the bike at what I did in Roth, for instance, the first 40 minutes in Roth. And if I do that in Kona, then it will take more than 1 hour, for instance, for me. And then if I then go 30 minutes at that power, it's going to take me more than 1 hour to just reset the system and feel somewhat alive again after that. So you can really cook yourself for a long period if you do those
Yeah.
things.
Magnus, a thing I've talked to other people about when we talk about you and Kona is your really gifted way to spot a problem and then adapt to it straight away. So has it always been that way with you, even back in school when you couldn't figure something out? Then you were really fast to pick it up, because I don't think I recall an athlete in all the years I've followed the sports that had picked up things as fast as you do. So has that always been a skill of you, even back in school, that you were super fast to bam bam bam?
Yeah, I think I've always been quite curious also. So
Yeah,
if I
like a
see
monkey,
a
like the Curious
problem,
George.
yeah, exactly. So I'm very curious, and I'm also all the testing we do is also something like I really dig into myself. It's of course I have some experts that's helping me, but I'm very much into all the numbers myself and really like that side of
Yeah,
the sport also.
obviously in Denmark we have had a guy like Torbjørn Sindballe, who was third back a couple of years ago, working a number of years on this heat problem, and it's like you have also been working intensively with Team Denmark and so on. So are you confident with your size that you are able to stay cool on the entire race
Yeah,
and also go for the winner at the same time?
it's something we have been working extremely closely with the experts from Team Denmark on this year, and actually already started back in the beginning of the year as I was doing Ironman Texas. And the reason we chose to do Ironman Texas was not a coincidence. It was because we knew it's probably one of the Ironmans that is most similar to Kona. So we wanted to see if it was some conditions I could even perform on, because Kona, then if I couldn't perform, then Kona really would not be an option this year. So the heat preparations and all the methods we've been using actually already started in the beginning of this year, and then raced quite well in Texas, I would say, and of course in Dallas it was even worse. So I'm pretty confident that if I can stick to the plan we're going to make, then I will not like it. Something will have to go wrong with the plan if I'm going to overheat completely, or all the
Yeah,
conditions will be something out of this world.
I'm thinking if Kona was the plan all along and you raced Texas to qualify and prepare, then going into Roth with a second Ironman, so now 3 Ironmans on a top level in one season, even for you as a young guy, only 24 years old, isn't that a bit much? You think, or you're not afraid that you're still able to go?
I've never done it before, so can't say that if it's too
No.
much or not. But I feel really fresh in training, and I feel better than I was going into Roth. So I think in that way, also because I'm so young, I recover very fast. So I don't think that I'm tired from doing 2 Ironmans. But yeah, we'll see if I am. But I don't think
Yeah.
it's going to be a problem that I've done 2 Ironmans this year already. And Roth was actually not planned until I heard of the start list there. I really like to measure myself
Yeah.
on against the best guys, and I heard that Jan was coming, and I figured it was maybe one of the last really good opportunities
Yeah.
to race against him. So, and then it was in Germany on his almost home ground. So it was just something I couldn't
Yeah.
say no to.
That you're a numbers guy, but also a bit of a fanboy. So I was wondering, running up Palani, running on Alihi Drive, driving up to Harvey, all the things you've seen on YouTube, on the recaps on the NBC famous world famous show there. Does it like you like goosebumps being part of history,
Yeah,
or is
definitely.
that
It's
something you think about at all? Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think you can't really. You can't not think about it. Like when you are here, it's if you look at it from an outside perspective, from a person's view that doesn't know anything about triathlon, it would seem totally ridiculous that you are riding on a highway and you are thinking it's really cool, but because it's just
Yeah.
a really bad place for training actually. But when you know the history of the sport and you know how many battles that has been going on there, and you've seen them pretty much all of them on television and been following the sports, then it's just something you can't really not think about when you're out there training. So it's quite a motivating place to train, I would say. And it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it has been really cool to. I've been now. I think I've went through the whole run, bike and swim course, and I think it's a really cool and tough and honest course also. So it's something you can't uh, not think about that what you're actually doing, and also running in. I did some intervals in the energy lab the other day. It was just so epic.
So also maybe what was it, Casper doing all the photos, or did you hire a professional photograph
No, no,
guy
not
to
yet.
to?
It was Casper. Yeah, it
No,
was
okay.
Casper.
No, it's just
He's
like I
basically
heard from
he's
your
shadowing
cook,
me.
your photographer. You,
Yeah, he's shadowing me in everything I do, making sure I have enough nutrition on all my running and biking and taking splits, and we're having a scale also, so we are measuring how much I'm losing when I'm training in these conditions. And so
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's difficult to train professionally here without having someone that's watching
Yeah.
you the whole time.
Also, for safety reasons, of course, we saw what happened to Cat
Yeah,
Matthews in Texas. That things can happen. So I understand that Casper is driving close behind you at all times.
yeah. So I was riding 5 hours yesterday on the course, and he was
Yeah.
riding behind me the whole way, making sure I had all I needed, and also protecting me a little bit, because some of the
Yeah.
drivers can be a little yeah, it's a little bit dangerous place to train.
Yeah. And I believe you split the gas bill afterwards with the prices and so on for driving around for 5 hours. It's
I pay
it's a
the
bit of
I pay it.
a
Yeah, it's
okay.
expensive,
So
but
it's
that's
from your
yeah.
salary. Being in such a small place where everybody knows you or want to have to have a piece of you, is that difficult for you to focus on the task, because it's getting closer and closer now?
Yeah, and I think that we are still far away from the race, so I think it will only get worse. I think a lot of people haven't even arrived yet, and already I feel a lot of attention. So we are actually living up Palani Road, so it's quite uh, some maybe 3 kilometers up hill from the city. So
Yeah.
it's when we are home, there is no one, and it's pretty nice to have you can just go down to Kona when you, for instance, have to swim, and then when you get back, you can be yourself, and you are away from all the noise and all
Yeah.
the attention. For instance, if I live
Exactly.
on Alley Drive, I think that there would be a lot of more attention, and I really like to be for
Yeah.
myself sometimes, and just
Yeah.
being able to focus on nutrition, like the recovery also. And so it's nice to know that when you go down to the city, then you have to be then it's okay that there is some people around you, and it's also okay that you take your time, and then when you get back, you can really just be for yourself and be with Casper and Morten, that I'm also staying with.
Kona is also a place of business, of course, or it used to be. I don't know if it's like that this year, but it used to be a place of business as well. And even though you have quite good sponsor deals, Pushun, for instance, um, do you feel like there's also people reaching out to you and they want to have business proposals and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's really a lot, and we have also a lot going on at the moment with talking to a lot of people, and I'm still very new in the sponsorship game, so I don't have a lot of
Yeah.
I have some good sponsors, of course, but there is still a lot of spots available, and that has also been on purpose. I didn't want to bring in someone I feel like I couldn't back up and didn't trust 100%. So, but after this season, definitely there has been a lot of more opportunities and doors opening, and but I've said that I try not to, the real discussions will happen after Kona, and I will also have someone taking care of all the sponsorship requests and all that. So I'm just trying to focus on my race, and then after Kona I will deal a little more with the sponsorship
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, but don't fly home without at least an Oakley sponsored.
Yeah, that would
That
be
would be the
cool.
goal.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
awesome.
great. Magnus, thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm sorry for the video delay here, and and also a bit unstable, but I think we'll be able to put together a nice interview here. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, of course. It was a pleasure talking to you as always.
Do you have a final comment to the millions of people watching around the world?
No, not really. Just thank you for all the support. It's very overwhelming for me to feel like, yeah, I'm receiving a lot of messages and I can't really respond to them all. But I'm trying to read all of them, and it really it's really motivating also for me to see that people like what I do, and it's just cool. So thank you for that.
Yeah, fantastic. And you are going to bring the entertainment for the masses next weekend. And we are so many people who are looking forward to see you and the other Danes going to show the world how this game is done. Magnus, stay healthy, stay safe, and say hello to everyone around you.
Yeah, thanks, Lasse. Talk to you.